Oh, please.
So, greetings, Dr. Margaretta, and you are actually referred to by many as the doyen of the art scene. And we'd like to know exactly what is happening currently in the Kenyan art scene.
Well, thank you, Ritesh, President Ritesh. I think I write about the performing arts as well as the visual arts. The performing arts are really suffering, um, but they are driving people into making films um, and doing things on Zoom and things like that. But the visual arts scene has been very busy. Um, I have just written a story about 3 exhibitions, which is not all. Um, there's one that just closed at Circle Art about Ethiopian artists. There were 16 Ethiopian artists on display at Circle Art in Lavington, which was very interesting because, you know, Ethiopia has a long history of painting icons. And so it's centuries old, but this is now contemporary art, which is very interesting. And that just closed. They have a new exhibition that is opening this coming Wednesday. I can't remember the artist's name, but what they do is they schedule people and you call in advance and say, can I come at such and such a day? Can you give me a time? And so they give you time so that you come in, and of course you have to social distance and wear masks and whatever. That's the same as at One Off Gallery. They have 2 exhibitions right now. One of 8 Kenyan artists in one gallery. And then in the other gallery, they have a solo exhibition of the Brazilian ambassador's wife, who is a longtime artist. And what was the other one? The other one was, well, there's one at Banana Hill Art Gallery, and there was just a marvelous exhibition at the museum. Now the rain is coming down very heavily. I don't know if you can hear me, Ritesh. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
You can. Yes. So I was saying that the galleries are busy, and Circle is having just had one exhibition. At One Off, there was an exhibition, there is an ongoing exhibition, 8 Kenyan artists, and one, the Brazilian ambassador's wife, which is also very interesting. At the museum, the National Museum, last weekend they just had the affordable art exhibition, which had like, I think 92, maybe it was 72 artists' works, and they sold very well. People came on the opening night and all through the weekend, which was very successful. Banana Hill has a solo exhibition right now with an artist called Mike Challo, which I've written about. It will be in this coming Friday. Today, I have a story in the paper by about a young Kenyan artist called Lincoln Wangi, who had an exhibition was just in the process of closing. There's a small gallery in Peponi Close called Gravit Art, and it's run by a Spanish lady. And his work is also very interesting, a solo exhibition. So artists are busy. They're doing residencies. There's one more place, and I can't quite remember where it is. Circle, One Off, and one other place. I can't quite remember,
Is it
but
Bonzo? Is it Bonzo
they're
Art
busy.
Gallery?
Huh?
Is it Bonzo Art Gallery?
No, no, Bonzo, he rarely has exhibitions. That's Adrian Duma. Yes. And recently, Village Market had an exhibition of 7 women, 2 of which were Kenyans, 2 were South Africans, 1 was an American. Um, that was very interesting. So I have been kept busy attending exhibitions.
That's
Not
really
easy
wonderful.
because can't keep up with these. Yes, it is. And I think the artists are getting more and more professional. They're more confident with their work, and that's very exciting. So it's an interesting field that's opening up, and we hope that the artists are going to have an opportunity to go and show their work everywhere. And you, what about you with your painting and your art? We know that you are quite a proficient um, watercolorist, um, who I think should stop calling yourself a hobbyist and actually, or an occasional artist. I saw that once, where we see more of your work, because you also are a wonderful artist.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Margaretta. Coming from you, that is a huge compliment. I'm very grateful.
Well, we'd like to see when are you going to have your next exhibition?
Well, at the moment, I do have some watercolors in the works, and I have to get back to the regime of painting. So I believe by December, hopefully, if the situation gets better and the possibility of exhibiting, I definitely look forward to that.
Well, President Ritesh, I must tell you that there are some of your paintings that I would like to own. Um,
Nice.
so be mindful that you are depriving your public of owning some of your art.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Now, I'm sure,
So,
yes,
Margareta, can I ask you one interesting question?
yes.
You see, due to this pandemic, people have been confined to their homes due to the lockdown situations. Do you think that that is one of the reasons why more budding artists are getting the opportunity to experiment and to realize that they are actually good at art? Have you come across more?
You come across what?
Have you come across any new artists who have actually learned that they can do art as a result of this lockdown situation?
I don't think that I've seen so many new ones, but I think that there are a lot of emerging artists. And I do think that the pandemic has been an opportunity for many of them to just paint or just sculpt. And that has been, whether you like it or not, you're stuck. So let me work. And I do think, especially at one off, the artists are progressing. Um, there is one art gallery that is closing, sadly. Kobo Trust uh, has residency for about 5 or 6 artists, and they have not had to pay rent because the safari business that goes with it has been very successful. But due to the lockdown, no tourists have been coming, so the business has gone bust, I'm told. And that means the artists have to leave, which is unfortunate. That's a challenge. Otherwise, they're busy.
That's very good news. That's very good news to learn that the artists are actually now able to exhibit their art, and also to learn from you that the exhibitions are successful in that there are actually crowds of individuals who are maintaining the social distancing norms and requirements, but are actually visiting with the intention of purchasing the art.
Well, one other thing that is happening is that artists are getting more proficient on Zoom and also on various programs. One thing I mentioned in my story today, the curator of the Lincoln Wangi exhibition is an architect as well as an artist in her own right. So she is very conversant with three-dimensional programming on online. So she put the whole exhibition for Lincoln into a gallery, an online gallery, which is amazing because you go there and you actually go from one corner to another, and it's beautiful. And you can zoom in and you can get all the details with a click, you know. So people are getting more ingenious all the time.
That's wonderful to know.
Okay.
Rashmi,
Yes.
you have given me the opportunity to read some of your short stories. Could you tell us a bit about your inspiration? What has led you to become a short story writer when we know that you are a digital wizard and a journalist?
Well, I always used to like writing stories, and I think it's my training which makes me, stop at around 1200, 1600, 2000 words in a story also. I don't like to overwrite, and I like to keep it very precise and fit the tale that I'm narrating, and that's why I do short stories. Um, the short stories that I've shared with you, I sort of wrote them over a period of time, but most of them I wrote they actually became final stories, and they sort of took a shape of a small novella in the last year when basically COVID had shut down everything. And I had enough time to dream about them and write.
Could you tell us some of the subjects or characters that you've written about?
Well, all of them are about people. I'm definitely inspired from people I meet. These are not stories about people I've met, but they are more likely situations where I've placed people or placed characters whom I have met in real life. Some of them are a little autobiographical. They are from my childhood days in Chandigarh, and they do concern a few people whom I used to know, some children I used to know as a child. And it is a story, it is a certain fragment of my childhood retold as an adult, whereas the others are purely fictional pieces, and they all have a central theme of people and the emotions they undergo and some experience that they might have had. And as I said, they're complete in itself. I don't do a series of stories, and I don't think I can ever write a novel. Yeah.
Now, I think, I don't know whether you can write a novel or not. I think you could. But you have a tendency to have a twist at the end of your short stories. Please explain why you do that.
I think I like that unexpected ending. I did it for a couple of stories, and then I realized that I tell a kind of tale, I narrate an incident, and I paint it up with words, and then there is a surprise ending to it. That ending it's not about a happy ending or a sad ending, but it's something unexpected. I think that is there in most of my stories. Like I've written something about a garden, a bagichi, which is like an orchard of mangoes and fruit trees that somebody's grandmother used to own, and it is a narrative of how her grandchildren and the children used to spend their days, the summer vacations in the orchard, and how she ended up living there, and how when she passed away, it just got taken over by builders and it just got destroyed. And so it is kind of a real unexpected ending.
Oh dear.
In a story, you would always like to say that it kept on. It had that happily ever after. I don't think my stories have that happily ever after. They are very realistic, and that doesn't mean they're sad, but they're very realistic. They're real in terms of what happens in the end.
Well, I think there's a great interest in family sagas. And if you have written about a family where there are 9 children, I'm sure you could write a novel based on the 9 children's lives, each one and going its own way. That would be fascinating. We'd love to read it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll try to write it, Margaretta, if only for my friends.
We know you, the story you wrote about Pink Skirt, I told you, I was very upset because it ended so surprisingly. I was asking, where are the clues that would give us some indication that this ending was going to end as it did?
I think that is, whenever I've shared that story, and I shared it with a few friends and a few women friends, it resonates across the world with women. It deals with the subject of inappropriate, contact by an adult and with a girl child, and I think that is such a universal theme across the world that women do identify with it. And yes, it leaves one. It is a surprise, end to that story. Others also, I think,
Yes, I
the
think
one that there's another story which actually won an award in a magazine, which dealt with a very common, subject that men and women both face, that when their partners sort of becomes interested in another person. And I've had friends calling me after that story because it's actually basically all of these are emotions that we identify with. These are situations most of us find ourselves in as we go along life.
Now tell us more about this award. What was the award for?
Oh, it was the best story. It was the
Was
best
it in
story award
India?
for a magazine. Yes, it was in India. Yes, that story won a
Was it
best
for the
story
whole
award.
country?
It
Was
was
it
for a
for the whole
magazine.
country or?
It was a Times of India award for the best short story. Yes.
Oh my goodness. That is, I mean, given that we know that India has a lot of talent as far as novelists and nonfiction writers go, for you to have gotten an award is a big honor for us to know you.
No, thank you, Margaretta, but I'm just starting out.
Wonderful. Well, we will be your publicists, Ritesh and me.
Thank you. Thank you so
Ritesh, do you
much.
have any? Ritesh,
Yes.
do you have any questions to ask our budding novelist?
It's not a question, but it's more. I'm just excited to learn that I will soon, hopefully, once the books get published. I think Rashmi, once the book is ready for publishing or is published, we are all eagerly looking forward to reading all your wonderful stories, and I'm sure Dr. Margaretta is going to be very happy to read and write a review about them as well.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Margaretta, and thank you, Ritesh.
Yes. have to read.
Thank you.